Welcome to Pulitzer Opal. I'm Sheila, and today we will be showing you two brand new
Cut!
types of opal.
I said
How
cut.
exciting.
Okay, Sheila, you've had your fun. Now just go sit with Zuck and wait your turn. I've got work to do here. It's been rough here at Pulitzer Opal. So much information, and it seems so random and disorganized. I've got two new types of opal for you. Really? And I've got giveaways and a couple of follow-ups? Well, what the heck am I wasting time telling you this? Let's get to work. These are chunks of Coober Pedy opal sent to me by Riley Gunn of 53 Frogs on Opal Auctions. You know him. Check out his stuff. I really like this opal because of its unique pattern with distinct color bars and a lot of potch surrounding them. I mean, it's not that expensive because the total amount of color is about the same as in ordinary pinfire white opal. But which would you rather have? Me too. But this stuff is rare, I believe. Now, what can I do with this? Let me see. This looks really good. Lots of color. Pretty impressive. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to make a cabochon out of this and not an arrowhead. I couldn't resist. This is a 390 carat chunk of Boulder Opal sent to me a long time ago by Zhivago, Castro, Romalho of Opalas do Brasil. He sells great Brazilian opal on Opal Auctions. I have a link to his store in the description. Now, this brown stain was not on it when I got it. It may have come from a brown marker that well, it doesn't matter. This cloth did the job. But this real sand on the surface has to come off. I don't even know what this boulder is. In Australian Boulder Opal, it's ironstone, but looking at the back of this, gray-black, this is not ironstone. So I'm grinding off the orange color on the edges to see what it is, and now I'm grinding off that thin layer of sand on the top. Okay, if the boulder or base rock is dark gray, why are these edges brown? When I first looked at it, I assumed that it was sandstone, but I think that it may be rust. Is that possible? Look at this. I ground this edge and the brown disappeared. It is rust. Sucky. I have to look at the approach to this thing. This is a beautiful stone, but cutting it is tough. This area seems good, so I will first have to separate it from everything on the other side, like along here. I'm going to need to take a little bit more off right along there. In the last video, we tried to get a fine opal out of this special knobby, a witch's hat knobby from Lightning Ridge, but Sheila failed. But the Deep Science unit of Pulitzer Opal discovered that this type of rough opal is very likely a fossilized mushroom coral. Brilliant. But new information has been gathered from the Pulitzer Opal short channel, an ideal setting for people with small minds. But yet another brilliant discovery was made. This is a Pyite Sun, but it's occasionally called a pyrite dollar or a sun dollar. And I don't think that I need to describe that there are lines of pyrite, also known as fool's gold, radiating outward from a central point. Pyrite is also called fool's gold and is usually found in the form of cubic crystals, like you see here. Now, pyrite is iron sulfide and is found in many places around the world. But the Pyite Sun forms exclusively in Illinois because Abraham Lincoln ordered it back when he was president. People used to think that they were fossil plants or pyritized opal knobbies, but it is now known that these unusual crystal formations of pyrite formed in the immense pressure between layers of anthracite coal about 350 million years ago. And yes, this is an example of radial symmetry that occurs in something other than a living thing, but I'm sticking to what I said in my previous video. But if something is not man-made and formed in nature, the only things that can have radial symmetry are living things. Radial symmetry cannot be made by geologic forces or by chance. Living things, living things, living things. I was really worried about these brown spots of sand on the top. I mean, I don't know how deep they are, and I don't know how thick the opal is underneath it, so it's a risk. And hopefully this cut will help. Okay, get moving. Flip it over. Let's see. The opal is very thick and the sand on top is very shallow. Perfect. So all I need to do now is to slice off the parts that won't work, and I'm ready to make a cabochon. A Brazilian Boulder Opal cabochon. My first. Maybe it's the first ever. Right. Well, I cut off the last bad part and it's time to make a cabochon. This is a 100 gram or 500 carat chunk of leopard opal. What is it? Well, it's a type of Mexican opal. You see, the Aztecs and Mayans used fire opal extensively for nearly 1,000 years before Spanish explorers rediscovered it at the town of Querétaro in the 16th century. Now, the explorers were pretty happy about their discovery. I mean, isn't that what explorers are supposed to do? Discover stuff? Well, you can imagine their excitement when they brought some back to the king. The king looked at it and said, calmly, "Where's the gold? I don't need no stinking opal." Well, that was fire opal, and the explorers could have discovered leopard opal, which comes from the nearby town of Zimapan in the state of Hidalgo. Notice my beautiful Spanish accent. Not really, I just know 2 words. Now, you may not like Mexican opal, but you have to admit, with names like Leopard Opal and Fire Opal, somebody's going to take you seriously. Leopard opal is precious opal that formed in holes within vesicular basalt. Leopard opal is like a miniature version of Ethiopian opal. Gases formed in molten rock, which produced the holes, and water with lots of silica got in and eventually formed opal. Now, this leopard opal is more like mouse opal than leopard, but it's my responsibility to give you guys a good education about opal. All kinds of opal. But think how lucky you are. All that knowledge and no homework. You can thank me later. Today I'm going to take this chunk of leopard opal and quickly, emphasis on quick, not so much the Lee, and give it to one of you guys. Once again, thank me later. I've got it marked up for cutting. Let's go to the saw. I'm just taking off the edges of this thing so I don't have to do it all on the wheel. I'm trying to get to this line and then I'll have a perfect cabochon, and then the shape will be perfect. Putting a dome on it is the next step. And now for the final stones. At 14.09 carats, we have the leopard opal piece named Huck. Now, Huck has a fair amount of flash, which fascinates the women and irritates the men. But he's not a top contender among leopard opals because of his wonky physique. He will love living with you. Big Lou is 25.23 carats of smooth. She's big enough to get what she wants and clever enough to make you happy that she took it from you. And she won't mind living in your house, just as long as you play by the rules, if you know what I mean. And you don't know what I mean because I don't know what I mean. Albert is a veteran of the rough world of Boulder Opal, and I think it shows. But all he wants from you is 3 squares and a cot. And if you don't know what that is, I'm sure he'll tell you when he gets to your door. Shard weighs 10.81 carats. She's happy with her shape and weight, but would rather be a little bit taller. You see, she had a crack that had to be removed just before she was born. But she is pleasant and will probably like you, unless she detects weakness. Watch your back. Mr. Zhivago is handsome and generous, just like his namesake. At 26.62 carats, he's big and surprisingly agile. The ladies like him for obvious reasons, and if I had another good cabochon of Brazilian Boulder Opal, I would have sent him to one of you. And now the winners from last time. The winner of Charles, the 14.02 carat opal is Meg Opal. The winner of Poppy, the 8.58 carat Wellow Opal is Stonehand Steve. The winner of Iris, the 5.21 carat Australian Opal cabochon is T.T. Stern. The winner of Lumpy, the 39.44 carat Lightning Ridge Opal chunk is Mega XL. To enter the giveaway, please ask me a question about opal or anything else you want to know. But remember, your questions may be used in Pulitzer Opal Q&A, the sequel. And you know how embarrassing it will be if you ask the wrong question. I'm looking at you, Kelly Ludi. So that brings us to the end of another video. I hope that you liked it, and if not, how stupid were you to watch this long? But you never know when there's more after the end, which is now. A little more than a year ago, I asked you guys to help me with a name, my grandfather name. You all helped a lot. You suggested all of the usual ones like Papa, Grandpa, Pop, 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 Papa, Dada, Opa, Grandpappy, and we got a few other unusual ones like Oompa and Bamps. If I left yours out, I left about 500 people's out, so don't feel too bad. Maybe you'll win a pair of Opal sunglasses. But one of you guys who happens to know me a little bit better than the rest made a suggestion that I decided I would go with, Doc. But guess what? My wife and her minions did not approve. So one day when my wife was talking to a friend on the phone and I heard her say, Papa Doc, I of course laughed because Papa Doc was already taken by Francois Papa Doc Duvalier, notorious bad guy and president of Haiti in the 1960s. If you want details, just look up Papa Doc. That's all you need to do. I laughed at it, but they are seriously calling me Papa Doc. My grandson hasn't yet called me that, but I'll just have to live with it. I hope that the little tyke doesn't look it up one day. That won't happen. He'll see it on TikTok. So I guess I'm just Papa Doc. I think I can be a notorious bad guy. I mean, I'd have to look up how to do it, but doesn't sound too hard. You may like this video, or you could hit the subscribe button.